So yesterday there was a ton of news taking place due to QuakeCon going on and still going on. And a lot of it was to do with Doom. And one of the more interesting things is the new release of Doom for the Super Nintendo that is coming out. And we talked about that yesterday. And I know there's a lot of people out there who are mixed on limited run games, and that's fine. I get it. But I find this very interesting and intriguing, so I'm going to talk about it. Like, I'm very interested in this release. And after I did that video, there was more and more information coming out. And, you know, I was like, how are they doing this, right? So we're going to talk about that. I posted some updates, and I know a lot of people just watch the video and kind of, move on so they don't see all the updates. But follow me on Twitter at Madlittlepixel. I got to start promoting that a little bit more. So I do, do follow-ups, post more information when I find things out, updates to videos and topics that I talk about. But one thing, let's just go over this real quick. All the updates that I know of so far. So as you see here, I have this Wikipedia up for Linden. Randall Linden. This guy here, he's got a long history in, video game software development. He's a developer for Bleem, emulator for the Sony PlayStation, and its Dreamcast counterpart, Bleemcast. Very interesting stuff. But let's scroll down. Back in the day, after he witnessed Super Nintendo's Super FX coprocessor chip at a show for developers, he believed that he could surpass Star Fox by creating a version of Doom. So he did this. He created his version independently, showcasing it to Sculptured Software once he had a working demo. So they assigned Sculptured Software assigned a team of developers to the project so it could be released for the holiday season. One of the challenges of creating that version of Doom was that there was no development systems for the Super FX at the time, thus requiring Linden to develop his own assembler, linker, and debugger before he could even commence development. He programmed on the Amiga using modified Super NES controllers to connect it along with a disassembled Star Fox cartridge for access to the Super FX. Linden did not have access to source code of Doom's PC version, making the Super NES version not a traditional port. Doom FX, as it became known, has been called an impossible port, as the Super Nintendo, even with the help of the Super FX2 coprocessor, fell well short of the original minimum specifications of the PC version. So he's responsible for Doom for the Super Nintendo back in the day. And I bring this up for a very specific reason. You may have seen it earlier up here. He was contracted with Limited Run Games to work on the Jurassic Park Classic Games collection. Well, he's worked with Limited Run Games for the past almost couple years. He's listed that he works with them full time. Well, he is currently working with them on this project. So updates to this project, stuff that I mentioned yesterday in tweets and follow-up posts on my videos. So Josh Fairhurst, just to go through all these updates as quick as possible. He stated, this is an incredible updated and enhanced Doom on SNES with restored content, new features, bug fixes, and performance improvements. This features full motion video, and I also saw him talking about like the intro sequence with Bethesda, on the screen, how amazing it looked. So that's kind of cool. Full motion video, that's freaking nuts, dude. Rumble support through the all-new controller that they developed with Retrobit Gaming. So Retrobit Gaming, they've been making a lot of controllers. And they're going to be working with Limited Run Games to make this controller. Now, I guess behind closed doors, I haven't seen any footage. I've looked. Behind closed doors at QuakeCon and like the lounge, people in I guess with connections, they could play this right now. Like with these guys. With this controller, they could play this new Doom port or what's so far been done. I don't know if the game's complete, but they have a chance to play it. So a lot of interesting stuff going on out there. So he states this new version of Doom runs off new Super FX iteration, the Super FX3. So this is not like, original Super FX. That's why I was like, how are they doing this, right? So they made this whole new thing. We'll get more into that with Randy's posts in a second. It's now capable of running things like full motion video. When he first booted up the game, the Bethesda Splash video played. His mind was blown. Super Nintendo's not supposed to be capable of this. a lot of people, I don't care. People get like kind of cynical and weird. They're like, heard there, Super Nintendo is not supposed to play these things. So the chips do that. Yeah, the supplemental chips, they add that processing power and stuff like that. That's what Super FX, all the additional chips that were used with the Super Nintendo back in the day, they added to it. Like the Super Nintendo couldn't, handle all this. So you added these extra chips to the cartridge so the Super Nintendo could do these things. So they developed this new chip that could add even more, cool things to be able to be done. So very cool. The Super FX3, full motion video, really cool. I know we have like MSU1 and stuff like that, but this is cool. This is cool. So Randy, like I said, he's working on this. He was the one who made Doom for the Super Nintendo to begin with back in the day. So he says we have our own custom chips that's compatible with Super FX, but increases the memory and speed. But is it X-Band compatible? So this was prompted due to questions, right? How are you handling Super FX chip, right? Is it X-Band compatible? Sorry, he had to remove X-Band support to save cartridge space. And then a follow-up question, is the custom chip an FPGA? The current iteration is FPGA, but that may not be the final chip. So I'd seen, because I responded to some people and I posted the update on my video with these responses from Randy, and I, quoted him saying who it came from, Randy or, Limited Run Games. And I saw some people reply like, yeah, this makes sense. Like, because I even said that in the video, like maybe they use FPGA, I don't know. But a lot of people were saying that, yeah, they could be developing this with FPGA and then, wind up putting it to a, application specific integrated circuit chip, after they have everything down, and then boom, just have like a little ASIC chip and have that all put together instead of using an FPGA, because FPGA you could use that in specific things to reprogram itself on the fly to do certain things. You may not need that for a Super Nintendo cartridge that has a specific, whatever performance that they want that chip to do. So, production wise, how much ever the FPGA chip would cost may not make sense. So having a different chip after they get it down, that may make sense. So yeah, having that application specific, chip, boom, once they get this down, that'd be kind of cool. They got this whole new Super FX3 chip. The previous, the actual Nintendo chip was Super FX2 that they used for Doom. Interesting. So moving forward, I'm not sure what the next one was. Oh, here we go. This individual asked, will the enhanced Super Nintendo port of Doom feature roof and floor texturing? And unfortunately not. Like, I mean, they would have to redo the whole thing, I would imagine, but Randy Linden specifies no, the speed and frame rate are noticeably improved, but still no floor or ceiling textures. I know I probably put like an overlay of playing some of the original Doom, because I did boot it up on my Super NT and played a little bit of it. And I'm like, it's cool. Like I said in my first video, like playing it back in the day, it was awesome. Not the best port of Doom, but it was still kind of cool. But they're not going to completely rebuild the game. They're going to add things. They're going to improve upon things. Performance-wise, that could be pretty cool. But it was a neat game for its time. So I am excited to see the final product with this. And it's interesting. That's why I'm talking about it. Just wanted to put this update, all this information. When these things come about, when there's updates, I tend to try to just post them in a pinned comment or, post them on Twitter. But this one is kind of like, let's just talk about it in a video real quick. So yeah, Randy Linden, original guy who did Doom for the Super Nintendo. He's back on this project with Limited Run Games. So there you go. I'm excited for this one. It's interesting. Bye.